Smooth fade out always lays us down nice and gentle. Welcome back to another week of Brews and Belters podcast. I'm Keegan Gowitz. Tonight I am sipping on a Zwickel from Urban Chestnut Brewing Company in St. Louis. One of my favorite breweries in St. Louis. It's a great Bavarian lager. We're going to talk mostly Premier League tonight. I'm going to run through real quick Leicester versus Man United, Everton versus Sheffield, Liverpool versus West Brom, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, Wolves, and then a few other scores. With me is Jack Butler. Say hello to the people, Jack.
Hello. And I am drinking this fine evening a Space Station Middle Finger by Three Floyds. I am down in Illinois, which I don't think this is distributed in Wisconsin, or at least I haven't seen it. So I've been drinking these for the last few hours while I was shoveling snow.
Excellent. We're also joined by the one and only Tobias Henefeld. Toby, what you sipping on tonight?
Keegs, tonight we have a hazy day in Brussels, double dry hop Belgian style Tripel ale from Monkless Belgian Ales in Bend, Oregon.
Sounds like a 9%er, is it?
Tall boy, and it is, I want to say it's 8.6.
No.
So I need
4. Just sounds fancy.
Just kidding. Happy holidays, by the way.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. I went with the festive look tonight, but I'm the only one. Was that a sound effect, or was that the actual pour from your beer?
Sounded clean. Whatever.
That's a sound effect.
Wow. Brendo, sample that. We're also joined by Brendan Butler, our sound man, Jack's favorite little brother. Brendel, say hello to the people. I love it. Let's get into it. Premier League, Boxing Day. Great weekend, as it always is. We're going to start out with Leicester versus United, and 2-2 draw. Leicester with an opportunity to work their way with a lot of teams kind of wet in the bed this weekend. Leicester was given an opportunity to climb up the table a bit, and no one wants to win the Premier League this year. Literally nobody wants to win it. Everton are flirting with it. Jack, we'll let you talk about that in a little bit. But United looked pretty good, and to me, Leicester just looked normal. Not good, not bad, just normal Leicester. And they've been one of the few teams this season. We've talked about consistency and more so inconsistency these past few weeks. It's kind of been the word that sums up this Premier League season. And Leicester's been one team that is just Leicester week in and week out. They're going to beat the teams they should. When a team like Man United plays well, they're going to draw with them. 2-2 draw, pretty decent result. And, I mean, they just are who they are. Jamie Vardy's going to show up in the 83rd and end up, tying things up for him as he did. I think it went down as an own goal, but his movement facilitated that. Good ball in from Pereira. They've just become so consistent, and it's crazy to think in 2016 they were this Cinderella team, and now it's just like, all right, Leicester's going to give any team in the Premier League a run for their money each week. But yeah, no crazy highlights really in this match. Rashford got a goal. Bruno Fernandes got a goal off some nice movement and a nice little ball in from Cavani. One thing that really impresses me about him, I know he's obviously become kind of a household name in the Premier League over the last season and a half. Bruno Fernandes, that is. But offensively, he doesn't stop working ever. He's always moving, and it's really fun to watch a player who's that big of a name and has that much talent mix in with that talent and blend in just the intelligence and the work rate that he has. When he's on, he's really a complete midfielder, and I don't know. It's interesting to see where United will go with the transfer window and just the way things are heading. One week they look great, the next week you don't know what the fuck's going on. So,
but to your point, like, does anybody want to win this league? This is the take that I had a little bit ago of, is the league actually that good? Right?
I
Like,
thought about that.
so
I thought about that take.
because this is like what I'm saying, like, is anybody, it's still early, but can anybody be consistent enough to get the points needed to pull away? Or is this another year, like when you think of when Leicester won the league, it was because no one else was really very good. No one else could put the runs together, which just gave the opportunity. Like, do you see anybody being able to put it all together for a stretch so that they can pull away? Or is this a year where a Southampton, an Everton, even like United, no one thought United was going to contend for the league this year. Like, is this one of those years where somebody like that can do it?
I think this is the year that without Virgil van Dijk, yeah, anyone can win. Is literally that's how I look at it. If not, Liverpool would be stomping on everyone, in my opinion. I think they would easily be on same par form as last year, even partially the year before. You know, I think they'd be smooth sailing if they could just shore up their defense. Like, they're literally throwing out a 16-year-old, and he's looking pretty good for them. And they've been going through injury. It seems like every other week a center back for Liverpool is getting injured. And I think if they just had someone that was like that rock and stone that they had with him, I mean, they would definitely be the front runner. But since they don't have that, it's wide open for anyone. And it's kind of like that Leicester year. But the way I'm looking at it is, like, from your original question on who's better, who's worse, are they as good as anyone in the Premier League? I mean, just look at the Champions League. Like, there's still multiple players in that, and the Europa League is going to be dominated, in my opinion, by the Premier League players. So I think it's just overall the parity is just a lot better this year than in years past. Like, the only real ones you look at on the list that you're like, oh, we got that, is like West Brom, and even West Brom just, you know, they just got points with Liverpool, so it's like it's tough to really tell. But I think it's just an awesome league this year, in my opinion.
I do think it's a good question to ask, though, Jack, and it's one that when you said that, my immediate reaction was no. I think the league is just really good, and then I really did think about that comment that you made again today as I was kind of going through my notes, and I'm like, I kind of thought for a second, and I had to convince myself again that the league is good, and it just made me stumble for a minute. Because it just is so inconsistent. But I do think, to Toby's point, I do think that part of that inconsistency is a team like, you know, West Brom. I don't think challenged Liverpool. They drew with them 1-1, but I don't think they challenged Liverpool quite like a team like Fulham did a few weeks ago. But, you know, to further Toby's point, teams like Fulham are still legitimately challenging Liverpool and playing them well, where it's a bad result for Liverpool, but really the low level team that they're playing is actually playing high quality soccer.
And
so
something that's funny about that is Aston Villa took what, 7-1 they pumped on Liverpool. It was like 6-1, 7-1. It was a stomping. And when they kept going with that, the next game was against Leeds, and Leeds beat Aston Villa. And then just this last weekend, you know, it was a 1-1 draw, Liverpool to West Brom, and then West Brom just played Villa today, not Villa, but Leeds today, and Leeds beat them like 3+ goals. So, like, it's just crazy how the parity, you know, like these two teams are getting points from Liverpool, and then they're just getting taken the following game. So, to kind of add,
it's going to make the January window so much more fascinating, right? Like, does Everton see a chance to make some bigger splash than they anticipated and actually go spend some money in a January window, right? Like, what does United do? United, to me, is the great mystery so far of, like, what are they going to do in the window? Are they still thinking that this is a project that is 3 years, or do they take an opportunity right now and go spend some cash? Like, I am fascinated by what they do. Liverpool, I think, is desperate for someone to replace Van Dijk for the rest of the year. And not just replace Van Dijk, but right, like they're just hurt in the back line. You know, so what does that look like for people in terms of contention? That's going to be huge for January. We might have lost Keegs.
Well, let's just keep going, Jack. Who do we have next? Do you want to go into your game, Jack? The Everton Sheffield?
Yeah, and I'll kind of loop these two together because it's Everton Sheffield on Boxing Day, but then we also had the Carabao Cup, the League Cup, with Man United. That was on the Wednesday. So I'll start there. It just really disappointing. I don't blame the players. I guess I kind of blame the players. Like they just didn't show up. They're playing a lot. And we just played like absolute dog shit. Man United played like dog shit. No one really deserved to win that game. United deserved to win that game. Like they got the goal, and then put in a late, one to clinch it. But really frustrating. We're just like cursed when it comes to cups. Tough draw in a tough time with a lot of games. Anyway, really disappointing though. I was really hoping that we could make a deeper run over there. And I don't know, like I didn't really have any thoughts about the game afterwards. I was like, that's just a shitty game.
Did they try and go for it? I remember they had Richarlison was playing, so was Calvin Lewin, but was anyone else?
I mean, yeah, we really were going for it. Yeah, I mean, like that's a priority is to win a cup, or to win some type of trophy. I think like the players that we had were there, like we were set up to. Well, I'll change that. The players that we had were supposed to bring it to them, but the way that we played on the back foot, pretty much the whole time. There was no urgency, no real pressing. And then we were pretty much hoping for that to go to PKs where, Cavani scores late, whatever that was, the 85th minute or something like that. And we were just trying to hang on for PKs because there's no extra time in those cups.
Yeah.
So, anyway, just sucked. As an Everton fan and also as a neutral. If you were watching that game as a neutral, like you wasted your time. It was not very fun.
So what about over
then Southampton? Yeah, so Boxing Day, not Southampton, Sheffield. That again, a match that's not going to go in the record books as being the most beautiful game you ever saw, but that's the type of game that you have to win when the games are coming fast and steady, and you need 3 points. Again, like a lot of matches coming up. We were supposed to have City yesterday on the Monday, so he was giving some people a break. He had started Anthony Gordon, which I was really excited about, but he did really poorly. Again, not one that a neutral is going to have a lot of fun watching. It was shitty weather. The whole Boxing Day, I think most of the games were pretty crappy weather. But again, so a 1-0, with a PK, with a Sigurdsson goal. And
Great finish.
Yeah, great finish by Siggy. Siggy needed to get on Siggy's been doing well this year. Nothing that's super flashy, but that was a great finish.
Who's that defender you really like? The new one from Norwich?
Ben Godfrey.
So I saw that he some Everton fan created a Ben Godfrey love boy fan page. And he's like, and in the title, all it said is the best looking Everton defender in the last 40 years. That was like, that's all.
Yeah,
and then
Everton Twitter's raving for him.
Everyone's like, no, you didn't think this guy was good looking? There was a bunch of just British dudes talking about this. It was really funny.
I saw there was a video that was circling around him of him training, and he was boxing. Dude is just a specimen of an athlete. Like his upper body on him, he's just thick. And I don't know if you saw him just run when he took, what was it? he took the wing side, and he just went barreling down pretty much right outside of our 18, and just was zooming down, probably got like halfway between their 18 and midfield, and someone got in the way of him, drew a penalty, but like I wouldn't have wanted to get in front of him. He was a train just running through. Yeah, love Godfrey. I actually watched Norwich over the weekend, just the first half, because everyone's saying that Aaron's, who would have been his teammate on the right, on the right, he's a right back. Watched him a little bit. Yeah, dude, I would love if we could pick him up. His distribution looked really good. Similar, Godfrey played in the center for them. This guy, though, was like kind of similar build, very offensive minded. Anyway, but when it comes to the Sheffield game, we needed 3 points and we got 3 points. Wasn't the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but like I said, December, I'll take it.
All that matters. Yep. Sorry, I cut out for a little bit, guys. I don't know what happened. My computer just froze. I had to restart it. But yeah, I assume you were just talking Everton Sheffield. Great finish by Gylfi.
Yep, great finish. Good to see. Good to see him, and also good to see us just like spreading out the sheets, because DCL we relied on so heavily for the first, however many games, 12 games, but now he's 4 games without a goal. But he's still like working hard. We just haven't been able to get him the ball. It's not his fault. He's been working hard. But it's just good to see that we also have some contribution from Siggy. Richarlison needs to get a little bit more involved. Hopefully, James hopefully is coming back soon. So yeah.
Yeah, with James out, pretty reassuring for you, for Everton fans, to see Gylfi kind of step up these last couple matches.
And also,
guys like.
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because it's not just James, dude. Like, we miss Digne so bad. That's another thing that I keep missing. Like, when Digne's gone, Mason Holgate's been doing just fine as a replacement, but you just don't get the balls in that you have with Digne. Digne is so good, you forget that. So not having Digne,
he's such a threat.
Seamus came in for like the last 20 minutes. But like for the most part, we've had Seamus out, we've had James out. Who else am I missing? There was somebody else that it's like important. And Alan. Yep, Alan. So I mean, like, those are major contributors. So to be picking up these points without them is huge.
Yeah, and guys like DCL, all I was gonna say is, can't expect a guy to stay as hot as he was at the beginning of the year. He's going to have dips throughout. It's a long season. He's going to have a couple dips and a few weeks where he might not grab a goal. And that's just going to happen. And the good teams have a guy like Sigurdsson step up and put one in the back of the net when no one else can. So, yeah, good things for Everton. Hurts me to say that, but good things for Everton. Moving on, Liverpool, West Brom. We kind of touched on this a bit. I actually did not get to watch this match. Went back and watched pretty extensive highlights. And, frustrating, obviously, as a Liverpool supporter. I think this is their league to lose. Obviously, the injuries don't help. And the one that stands out, of course, is the Van Dijk injury. Because Liverpool pretty much controlled everything for most of the match. West Brom's first real opportunity came in the 50th minute, and then they had another one shortly after that. And then later on in like the 70th, I think they got a chance off of a counter that was basically just a clear, a clearance. But I think it's just a matter of young, tired defense kind of getting caught out. Props to West Brom. They took the corner really well. The short corner that was played back to the corner taker, first touch. And he sent a cross in first touch, and I think he just caught him off guard. And that's what happens when you've got a 16, 17-year-old Reece Williams in. Matip's out, had been subbed out for Reece Williams. Probably the most experienced player on the pitch for Liverpool, one of them. Fabinho is phenomenal. He's a great defender, and he can adapt to playing a different position, but he's still out of position. In situations like that is where Van Dijk really shines through, because not only is Van Dijk physically arguably the greatest defender on the planet, but he keeps things clean back there. He keeps a clean house, and he owns that defense. And Fabinho's just not in a he's just not in that space yet, as a player where he can man that back line and control that back line and organize that back line in a way that Van Dijk does. And so, to me, that's kind of what stands out is if Van Dijk's in, I don't think that corner gets in. I think that's cleared before it reaches the goal scorer. So good finish by Mane. But yeah, it's just kind of frustrating to see a little slip up like that kind of cost the match. At the same time, playing against a team like West Brom, you got to hold the attack a little bit more accountable to not be in that situation where we're only a goal up in the last 10 minutes. I like that they fought back. I mean, Liverpool had 3-4 chances in the last 10 minutes there after giving up the goal. A legitimate chance for Bobby. Probably should have finished really at the far post. But yeah, you can't be in that situation where you're one up and you make one mistake against a bottom of the table team and they punish you for it and you end up splitting points. So pretty disappointing. God damn it, Brendan. Just take it away, Toby. Just take us on to Chelsea Arsenal.
This was so disappointing. I can't shit on Arsenal this week, but I'm going to still shit on someone from London. So 3-1, Arsenal beat Chelsea. It was kind of a nut up or shut up time at that point for Arsenal. I truly believe if they would have lost that game, Arteta would have been out. I don't think they were going to wait, even though they were putting all that lip service in the news saying that they were going to. I mean, if they would have kept losing, they would have been in the relegation zone. They were right outside it, and so they had guys step up. They're two young guys. They had Saka and Smith Rowe. Both those guys showed up. They balled out. They played like they wanted to. And I feel like Arteta had something going for him because Aubameyang played on the bench, which he's been their captain all year, and he hasn't been there. And, they've been playing Lacazette as well with him. They just haven't gotten anything from Aubameyang. And with that, Willian and David Luiz were both considered to be sick, and so they weren't even on the bench. So their three, core players for this year's roster weren't even on the field, and they had, in my opinion, their best showing. There was 3 pretty good goals scored by Arsenal. The first one was a penalty by Lacazette. It was based off of Reece James' foul. Xhaka had an awesome free kick. Honestly, I hate that dude so much, but he had a nice upper 90 free kick. And then Saka had something that looked like a amazing goal, but I think it was a pass. It was like a cross that perfectly chipped the Chelsea goaltender. And then just Chelsea in the 85th minute, I think it was Tammy Abraham, I'm pretty sure, got a trash goal to make it 3-1. But a few things really stood out to me. They're finally playing Pulisic. Christian Pulisic, the U.S. guy, finally getting playing time. This is he played this week, and then he also played over the weekend 2 90-minute games. It's the first time he's done that in a while. I was kind of nervous with his hamstrings always being so delicate, but when he's out there, he's literally their best player on the pitch, in my opinion. And the thing with this game against Arsenal, he started on the right side with Timo Werner on the left, and it just annoyed me because Tammy Abraham's playing in the middle and center, and that's another thing that annoys me. I wish that they would. I love Olivier Giroud, and they don't play him as much as they should. He should be their starting striker, but they had Timo Werner, and he doesn't track back. His balls aren't as crisp as they need to be passing, and he's not as good of a clinical scorer currently in the form he's in the Premier League. And Pulisic is literally he might turn the ball over, but he has the most like with the advanced analytics, like his dribble percentage is way higher. His passing efficiency is the highest. Like they had the 5 best players based on like the 4 major statistics, and he was number 1 with number 2, 3, 4, and 5 all being from Arsenal. So like I feel like they're not wasting him there at Chelsea, but like I think Frank Lampard doesn't know how to use him to the point where in like the 20th minute he switched to the left side because he's better on the left and he's able to take guys off the ball and switch it onto his right foot and get into the middle, and then he can create. Or by that point, the left back Ben Chilwell's coming up the side, and they didn't do that at the beginning, and by then they were already playing on their back heels. So there's a lot going on with that. The other thing is 2 things. The other thing is Frankie fucking Four Fingers Lampard. I think he's not a good goalie, or not a good coach whatsoever.
Shit goalie.
Shit goalie. Actually, I don't know if he ever played goalie. I don't know if he pulled like a Harry Kane and actually went into goal once in his day. But dude, they are worse now than they were last year, and they paid $300 million for more players. Like, that's not a good return on your investment, in my opinion. So there's that going on. And then the other thing, Chelsea, so they were starting to show a little life after that last goal. In like the 90th minute, maybe the 89th minute, can't remember exactly, they got a PK, and Jorginho's ass went up to the line, and he did that like hop skip thing, and it got saved, dude. He missed it. I was like, what are you doing, dude? And yeah, so I don't know. Like, it was more impressive of an Arsenal win than it was a Chelsea loss. But then Chelsea comes back yesterday, and they actually play in my opinion, a good roster with Hudson-Odoi on the right side, Pulisic on the left, and Giroud in the middle. And they just didn't get anything accomplished. I don't know if that was on 2 days rest or what, but I mean, Frank Lampard he doesn't get the results like I think he should. And I'm being very critical of him. I know a lot of it's on the players as well. But at the end of the day, it's the manager's job to put his team in a way of succeeding with the right roster moves, so.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you guys think their like Lampard's leash is? Assuming that he has a much longer leash because of his history with the club, but it's a club that pulls managers very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Man United, and they've given their former super sub a pretty long leash. I don't know that Chelsea will keep theirs quite as long, but yeah, I mean, it's a good point.
And that's I was gonna say, and that's only like what Lampard did for Chelsea as a player is far surpasses anything that Ole did for United. Nothing against Ole.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting. I heard some people talking about, you look at someone like Stevie G, and obviously the Liverpool job wasn't available when he got into managing, but people are questioning now: was Frank Lampard ready for this? Kind of out of the gate and this early, or should he have been? At a club the size of Rangers, or not that Rangers is a small club, because that's a huge gig what Gerrard's doing, but it's not Chelsea. And he's taken on this $300 million project, and it's like, yeah, you should be getting these results. You should be getting these results, but and we all say this all week or each week, as critical as we are of him and other managers, because that's just the nature of the job. We don't know either. We're scratching our heads as well. Like, what's the best lineup for this team? Even like you mentioned, Toby, I love that. I thought Odoi and Pulisic were probably their 2 best players against Arsenal, and I love that they started the next match, but they still don't get the result. So it's, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for how long the leash is or how long it should be. And I'm happy I'm not the one making that decision. What do you guys think?
$300 million, dude. I get it. Ziyech has been injured. Kai Havertz had COVID. Like, there's some issues going on there. Thiago didn't play yesterday. Thiago Silva, but Ben Chilwell did. So like, And in my opinion, Ben Chilwell is the best signing anyone made in the Premier League this year. He's been unbelievable for Chelsea, coming from Leicester.
He's been great.
But yeah, I mean, you should be top 2 easy this year in the Premier League. We're arguing about it, and no offense to Jack and Everton, no offense to me and Tottenham, but in my opinion, on paper, Chelsea is a better team. Like they have better players, pretty much top to bottom, and even going top to bottom and then one to the left or one to the right with like their bench players. The backups are by far better than anything that Tottenham has on their bench. So yeah, it's a mind boggle.
I mean, I hate the Chelsea circus, which is just always the new manager every year and a half or whatever. And hanging on to coaches can pay off. Like if you look at Southampton with Hasenhüttl, is that how you pronounce his name? If you look at him, like they just trusted his process after last year not being great, and like look at where they're at this year. Like I think Lampard, with just the reputation that he has, he's gonna have a longer leash. But they're also, I think they're looking at him, or I would, if it was me, I'd be looking at him more than just a get us to Champions League this year. Like you are trying to really brand this club again. That's kind of been just a circus, right?
Yeah.
Just a lot of people in and out, a lot of attitude, a lot of egos. You bring in one of your legends, and hopefully at least ride it out through next year. Even if they end, I don't think they're going to end 8th this year. Is that what they say? I think that's where they sit right now. Even if they end in 6th and they don't get Champions League, I would still ride it out for some of next year to give him the chance to be able to do what he wants to do. But again, that's not the Chelsea way, so we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, we probably need to move on to the next game, but I think we can all agree that we love to see this happening to them, where they're struggling. That's what I wanted to get my point across from the beginning.
Well, I do think it's interesting too, because last week we were laughing at Arsenal and we were all happy that this was happening to them. And I just think it's really interesting. We're having this conversation about Chelsea. Oh, after they just played against Arsenal and were beat by Arsenal. And last week we were having this almost exact conversation about Arsenal and Arteta's future and how they don't have – Arsenal doesn't seem to have a guy who leads on the pitch, and that makes the manager's job obviously a lot more difficult. And this week, really, this matchup really stood out to me because it felt like an introduction of the new guard of the Tierney is a guy that you've mentioned several times, Jack. It has those leadership qualities. We've mentioned Saka, and then Emile Smith Rowe or whatever. I think it's Smith Rowe. Gabriel Martinelli played really well against Chelsea. Gabriel Martinelli's 19, Saka's 19, Smith Rowe's 20. And these guys are stepping up, and it really paid off for Arteta. Willian was out, David Luiz was out. It paid for him to take that risk of, all right, we're going up against a $300 million squad. Let's let these young guys get out there and be hungry. And that's exactly what they were. They were just hungrier than Chelsea. And this week really made me, after talking about Arsenal last week, not having that guy, not having that captain and leader on the pitch, made me realize that's kind of where Chelsea's at. You look at their roster, they don't have a guy who is just kind of a natural leader besides maybe Thiago Silva, and that guy's been there a matter of months. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
But you bring Silva in. You bring Silva in though, like because day one he's gonna be a leader. It doesn't matter if he's only been there a couple of months. Like day one, this dude has done it. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I mean, that's to me. And I mean, look at Giroud too. Like those are like I don't know what Giroud's leadership style is, but Silva is known to be a leader.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is I wonder. It's a mix of those things where. I mean, you got a manager. There's several things that go into it, in my opinion. You've got a manager who's not very much older than Thiago Silva. You've got Olivier Giroud, who's kind of the other guy who you're looking at as a leader who's even after coming off of a hot streak where he'd been playing really well, is starting every other game, every 3 matches for him. It's just weird. It's just really weird to me. Kind of a weird dynamic, and it's funny how they sort of are paralleling each other right now. But I do like that Arsenal is staying with that younger lineup. They actually won 1-0 against Brighton, and they did start Aubameyang up top, but they had Martinelli, Smith Rowe, and Saka in, along with Tierney.
Not the Seagulls. Save the Seagulls. I love Brighton.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on. Sorry, I just thought that was an interesting parallel, especially after talking about Arsenal so much last week. But Tubbs, let's talk about your Spurs.
So I have literally no notes written about this, but Spurs went Spurs. They wore those fresh ass green unis. I love it with the black bottoms. Like, they look awesome.
Christmas, baby.
That's what I wish for Christmas. I would have got that. But they look decent throughout the whole portion of the game. The Wolves are still lacking what they're lacking. Like, they had good offense, but Tottenham gives it to them. Tottenham played a back line that was partially what I would like to see, but I just don't like their center backs. I'm not comfortable with them. But, the scoreline ended up being 1-1. Tottenham went up real early. I want to say in the first or second minute with a Tanguy Ndombele kick, and it was a nice. It was off a corner kick, kind of ricocheted out. Benny Davies, who I hate, but he's been pretty decent recently. He kicked one across and set him up, and he one-timed it, and it was a nice goal. And they held that out through most of the second, or through all of the first and most of the second, and then in like the 70th minute, I want to say, somewhere around in the 70 to 80th minute, they gave up a set piece. And this is what I've been talking about for, the last few weeks, that their center backs they're decent, but I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's Jose's system. Jose Mourinho, their manager, I think that's his system making them that good with the coaching staff. So I don't have any notes, but I have a few little stats for you boys. So the Spurs have conceded 15 goals this season. That's one of the lowest in the Premier League. Of that, they are the lowest in the Premier League. So they're number one in the Premier League with open play goals. There's only been 3 of them scored on them in open play. Counterattacks, they've had 0. So they're the best in the Premier League at that. Granted, in Europa, they've had some, but nothing in the Premier League. But based off of set pieces, they've had 6 goals given up. That's the largest number of goals that they've given up in any of these metrics. And that's the 3rd highest in the Premier League. I want to say the other 2 are like Leeds United and West Brom. So they're the relegated teams. They've had 4 PKs scored off them, which is the 2nd highest. And they've had 2 own goals, which is the 2nd highest. So there's 5 different ways to score goals. Open play, they're the best at giving and not allowing, and same with counterattacks. And in my opinion, that is coaching and system. Set pieces, penalties, and own goals. You can, on a set piece, you can set your line, you can set your markers, but at the end of the day, it's based on a player-to-player athleticism, and it's based on their want and ability to get the ball. And at that time, when that goal was scored, Harry Kane didn't get there in time, and I want to say it was Ben Davies who just got mismarked, and he's not that good at that. They had Davinson Sanchez in there, and I want him to be gone in January. He just they took a flyer on him, and I just don't think he's really shown up like he should have. The rumor right now is that Frankie de Jong from Juventus, he was actually going to sign with Tottenham.
But Tottenham. Wait. You talking about De Jong from Barca or De Ligt from Juve?
De Jong from Barca. So he was with Ajax at the time. He was supposed to become a Spurs player, but they decided not to go that route, and they went the Davinson Sanchez route. That's at least what the rumor was. But he was still a developmental player, so they ended up going with Davinson Sanchez, who was the up and coming Colombian player, and he just hasn't panned out. So that's why I just don't know like what to really think about any of their defense. But I think that's their main concern this January transfer window as a center back. There's a few different people they're talking about, and then maybe a forward. Wolves look good. Jimenez was in the stands. That felt good because I thought that dude crushed his skull more than just a fracture. Like I thought he was done for, honestly. So it was nice to see him in there. But yeah, other than that, there's not much more to say. Spurs, and gave up a goal in the final 20 minutes. So congratulations.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of teams are hurting for a center back right now. That seems to be a pretty common theme across the league, whether it's due to injury or just a lack of center back depth in the league. But yeah, always good to see Tanguy and Dembele grab a goal. I love him. Love watching him.
It was Frankie De Jong from Barcelona. Okay. He was supposed to go to the Spurs.
Crazy
they passed on him instead. Yeah.
To be fair, Sanchez is a big guy who can move. I mean, he's got like the prototypical center back body, and you know he adds athleticism and to that as well. So I guess
I can see him doing really well at a team like Everton, or like a team that has a better structured back line, but they're not like
doing well in Spain.
They're not asking them to do as much. Like the center backs from Tottenham have to do a whole lot more. So that, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, some other scores around the league. City 2-0 over Newcastle. Ferran Torres bagged both goals for City. Could be their new number 9, maybe. Gabriel Jesus seems to be falling out of favor with Pep. And then Aguero obviously is he's coming back from being out for a while, but obviously he's just aging. You would assume that he's going to be looking to pass that number 9 shirt on, and maybe Ferran Torres will be that guy. Aston Villa 3, Palace 0. Shout out to Aston Villa. They have become really, really fun to watch. Obviously, Jack Grealish is kind of the talisman of that squad, but Bertrand Traore been coming on really strong these past few weeks from Olympique Lyon. Another guy that I really enjoyed watching back when Lyon had a stacked squad, in addition to Tanguy and Dembele that we mentioned for Spurs. About 2 years ago, they had a really nice team, and Traore just came over to Aston Villa from Lyon. He's been playing really well. His goal was set up by Ollie Watkins, who's made a name for himself this season as well. Really nice little step overs before putting a really hard shot on goal that bounced right to Traore. And then Anwar El Ghazi with a fucking rocket into the top left corner, hit off the post. Great finish, and he was pretty much at a dead standstill when he hit the ball. He's really been on fire these past few weeks, and they're just a dangerous team. They're a team who, as a Liverpool supporter, I'm aware can put 7 goals up on you like that. And they put 3 on Palace and didn't give up a goal. Shout out to them for that. Tyrone Mings, who we're talking about a lack of quality at center back. Tyrone Mings is a great center back. A little bit of an unlucky red card, and Aston Villa played a full 45 minutes without him and didn't give up a goal against Palace, who isn't playing well right now, but has the ability to pounce on somebody. And props to them for not letting them. Other scores around the league: West Ham 2, Brighton 2. Just a little note about that. Tomas Souček is a Czech center defensive mid who played 13 matches last year on loan for West Ham from Slavia Prague before permanently signing for them this season. He's 25 years old, 15 matches. He's got 4 goals, which for center mid. I think I said center back. He's a center defensive mid. Pretty good tally, 15 games in. He's looking.
That's good. That's a good score.
Yeah, he's looking pretty dangerous. He's one to watch. And West Ham, you mentioned with Tottenham that their defending's been good in open play, but they're giving up a lot of goals on set pieces. I'm interested to see when they play West Ham because West Ham is getting a little bit of a reputation for scoring on set pieces, specifically corners. So that might be an interesting thing to watch out for in that matchup. Southampton 0-0 draw with Fulham. Southampton's another one of those teams that, like we mentioned earlier, they could be a 2016 Leicester. Potentially, but they've got to win these matches, and they're just another club who are letting these opportunities kind of slide before them. They drew again today. I'm struggling to remember who they played, but they drew again today, so that's 2 in a row, and it was another scoreless draw. So, but yeah, that wraps up the week. We got anything else, Jack? Were you going to talk about AC Milan a little bit? Did I see?
Before I get there, I'm just gonna go to really quickly. I did get to watch Leeds and Burnley. That was actually a really fun match. It was 1-0 to Leeds, where Patrick Bamford scored in the 5th minute off of a penalty. A lot of drama in this one, but watching Bielsa and Sean Dyche go after it against each other, just two well-respected managers, obviously known for different styles. It was really exciting. Leeds was on the front foot the whole first half, and then Burnley was on it the second half. Really unlucky not to get an equalizer. There was some penalties that didn't go their way. Even the penalty that Bamford ended up taking, like that was controversial. Really fun match for a 1-0. Anyway, just wanted to give that a shout out. Really respect Sean Dyche and everything that he does for Burnley. Fun to watch those two go up against each other.
Hey Jack, what do you think about Patrick Bamford? Because I think he's at Leeds because he was like pretty much sent from another. I want to say he was on Chelsea's developmental. I can't remember, but do you think he's a good? I want to say he's number 2 in the scoring race right now. He has like 11.
I was gonna say he's got like 11, 13 goals this year. I think he came from Borough. I'm pretty sure he came from Middlesbrough to Leeds. I don't know, if you're scoring that many goals in the Premier League, you gotta be doing something right. I got no qualms with it. I don't watch enough Leeds to know anything more than that, but
Toby, it looks like he was with Chelsea for about 5 years, and they loaned him out all 5 of those years, and then he went to Middlesbrough and then Leeds. But yeah, he buried that penalty. He's looked good, and to be fair, he's playing in a very attacking system, so
that's where I was going. Yeah,
help somebody succeed as far as goal scoring goes.
And I didn't take any notes, but yes, I did watch Lazio against Milan, and I've been watching a lot more Serie A this year. I know I've talked about it, just ESPN Plus, and honestly, like having so much fun doing it. This was a tale of two halves. Milan was on the front foot the entire first half, go in 2-1. I don't know. I don't even like try to pronounce the names because it's either Italian or like Serbian, and I don't know how to pronounce any of those names. So, so it was 2-1 going in the first half, and Milan looked dominant, and then Lazio, who they just put it all together. They were on the front foot in the second half, and I thought they were going to get the win. Got an equalizer in the 59th, and then I know how to pronounce Hernandez, whoever that is. I don't know who these players are, but Milan gets the game winner in the 92nd minute. It was so much fun to watch again. Like I'm really excited that I have access to watch these leagues where I've never really watched Serie A before. I've watched Bundesliga from time to time, but anyway, just a really fun match. Two big clubs going at it. Highly recommend to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out ESPN Plus. It's been point of mine to watch more Serie A and Bundesliga, but especially Serie A. And last couple weeks have been a little crazy. Some personal news. I have accepted a job in Milwaukee, so I'm finishing up at my current role, and it's been a little crazy. Just trying to balance everything and find a place and whatnot. But yeah, it is a big goal of mine to continue watching more Serie A, and hopefully we can continue to elaborate on the Premier League while bringing other leagues in. So thanks for that little bit, Jack. Two great teams to watch. Lazio. Ciro Immobile is one of the deadliest strikers in Europe, really, the last decade or so. I'll go as far as saying it at Dortmund and then Lazio. Tell us what you got.
Two things. One, I drank the Kool-Aid. I got ESPN Plus.
There he goes.
So we're all in, and it was literally because Tottenham was playing Stoke City on Thursday, so I wanted to watch it.
On a cold night in Stoke, Toby got ESPN Plus.
Yep. So that's one. Two, Milan right before, I want to say it was the day before Christmas, had a game. And or no, excuse me, not Milan, Roma. Who's number one in
AC Milan?
So they were getting ready to go into their game, and their fans like lined the streets, and it was just like red like flares going off for like a mile and a half. There's like a video on Twitter. It was awesome. Like all the guys are on the bus, and it's just like looks like the street's on fire, but it's just all fans. Like, dude, that they're more bonkers right now than I even think England fans are when it comes to stuff, or at least they're getting more shout outs for it. So I don't know if that has something to do with COVID and restrictions or what, but
yeah, England's being hit pretty hard right now. But yeah, those Italians are crazy, man. But yeah, I think that's all we got this week, fellas. Nice, quick episode, just about an hour. We've been going a little bit long. So.
Oh, definitely. What about you guys got any belters?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm skipping out on a couple of things here.
Yeah.
Let's do our all right. Toby, give your cheers for this week. We'll do our cheers and beers and then end up with belters.
So my cheers is to Keegan's coined plastic team PSG, getting rid of the water cooler sitting Thomas Tuchel, and getting my boy Mauricio Pochettino. Dude, I loved him at Tottenham, and he's going to be their new manager going forward. I literally think because of that, Dele Alli is going to be going from Tottenham to PSG this January. And, I mean, I don't know if it's going to do much of an effect because I thought PSG, I mean, they have enough players. They're pretty damn good. But, dude, like, yeah, I think that's a great hire for them. So definitely a cheers to PSG. Getting my Argentine love, Mauricio Pochettino.
Is that official? Is that official?
It's not.
I bet it's going to be official.
It's going to be official.
I kind of want to dive into that. I actually have not even had the time to read this article, but I saw a headline that made me stop for a minute. Jonathan Liu from The Guardian. This is just the headline for you. Mauricio Pochettino, an odd choice for PSG, a club where the individual is king. And I took that as two things.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I took that two ways. This could be an odd choice, and it made me rethink maybe he's not the right choice. Or he could be exactly what they need. But he's going to need players like Neymar and Mbappe to buy into that and give up that individualism. Because I think a guy like Verratti can give that up. I think a Marquinhos can give that up. So I don't know. Kind of interesting.
And also that you take out a Tuchel who gets them to a Champions League final and loses, and then you replace him with someone who gets Spurs to a Champions League final and loses. Like, why wouldn't I don't think it's a bad hire. I think Pochettino's a great manager, but like if they're looking for somebody that's like been there, done that, I guess they're not looking for that. But I just think from that perspective, it's interesting.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I think regardless, I mean, he's a great hire for any club. I would really like to see him go to Dortmund. Truly, PSG obviously higher profile club, slightly higher profile club, but I would really love to see him fit in at Dortmund with that young squad that they got. But we'll see. Only time will tell. What's your boo for the week?
So, well, I was going to say real quick. So, to all the listeners out there, if that happens, that's breaking news that was broke on this podcast. I'm going to be the first one to say that. But if it doesn't happen, it's just a rumor. You know, it is what it is.
I like the Dele Alli connection because I hadn't really thought about that. I figured maybe Tottenham would look to unload him, but I hadn't thought, okay, wherever Pop goes, you know, if Pochettino goes to PSG, maybe he'll end up at PSG or I doubt maybe Dortmund. I don't know. Who knows?
That was a few beers in the garage. That was me connecting some dots. So that's where that
came from. Got the string up on the wall, pins up on the wall. Love that.
Yeah, definitely. So my booze, and I have a whole segment I could get into with you on this, or at least run down the list, see if there's anyone you guys might be interested in. But my booze is Diego Costa was on that list. There's a list of about 15 awesome players, not awesome, but good players that could pretty much plug in anywhere and be a starter in the Premier League. And Diego Costa, in my opinion, it could be one of them on the right team. He could start or at least be their like number one off the bench. He's being rumored to be going to Arsenal. That's as recent as today. And there's like legit people saying that too. That's like a tier 2 rumor. There's 1, 2, and 3. He's like this is like a silver rumor. So
Fabrizio keeping him in his peripherals right now. Nothing major.
Yeah.
Just peripheral.
So before you guys switch over to this, so a few other guys, there's a whole list of this. A few other guys that are free to talk to other clubs in January. So like a free transfer. That are out of contract in 2021. Olivier Giroud of Chelsea, Jesse Lingard, Man United, Sergio Aguero, Man City, Lionel Messi of Barcelona, Mesut Ozil of Arsenal, Johnny Evans of Leicester. I'm gonna Mkhitaryan of Roma, Davi Alba from Bayern Munich, Memphis Depay from Lyon. Jerome Boateng of Bayern Munich, Gini Wijnaldum of Liverpool. You know, there's quite a few others. Mustafi of Arsenal. I'm just trying to read off some that pop off the list. Sergio Ramos of Real Madrid and Julian Draxler and Angel Di Maria from PSG. So there's quite a few good players that, you know, technically most teams are going to want to get rid of them. Or they're going to, you know, it all depends on the business aspect of it. If they really want them, they'll keep them. But if not, like, now's the time for them to get going if they want to be gone. So
it's an interesting list because there's some big names, and then there are some names like Jesse Lingard, whose career is kind of evaporated at United as a guy who had, it seemed like, unlimited potential and is now 27 years old, and everyone forgets that he's in the Premier League. Along with that, you got Julian Draxler, who came up in the Bundesliga at the same time that Kevin De Bruyne did at Wolfsburg. And I thought those two were going to take over as the best midfielders in a generation, and Kevin De Bruyne did. Julian Draxler has just kind of been there at PSG.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting to think that a deadline like this, a transfer window like this, could be a potential rebirth for players like that. And then you've got your Angel Di Marias, who maybe will stay with PSG, maybe will go back to a club that they were at when they were younger. You know, maybe I could see Di Maria maybe going to Portugal to play somewhere or something like that. I could see him coming to the States. I don't know. It should be an extremely interesting transfer window. Just because of that, the mix of generations there. Some older guys looking to revitalize their career, and even some younger guys looking to kind of save their career. So,
shout out to to Brendel for doing the sound effects when Jack and I are cracking open other beers while Keek's talking. So, shout out.
Also, the entire until I heard Jack's beer crack being a bottle, I actually was still questioning whether or not that was like the real sound of your beer being cracked and poured. Like, what the fuck kind of James mic does Toby that's picking up every little crack? Yeah.
So, Jack, are you prepared? Do you have a booze or a cheer?
Yes, I got both. My cheer is for Sam Allardyce, who Big Sam. I think having personalities like Big Sam in the Premier League just makes it so much more fun. Like, honestly, like, he is going to be a talking point for the rest of the season. He was not the right manager for Everton, did not have the style that we wanted to play to progress to Europe. But a guy who I thoroughly enjoy his trolling. And so my cheers isn't just that he, right, like, played a 6-4 and parking the bus as you can against Liverpool to get a draw, which props to him. My cheer is his trolling afterwards in his post-game presser where he has to remind everybody that he was the last manager to get a win at Anfield when he was managing Palace. Like, he just has to remind. He's such a troll. And it was so funny. Oh, God. It made me really happy.
So after that game, this is a quote that he actually said. He said, "I can easily do what Klopp is doing at Liverpool with some of the most expensive players, but he cannot do with these West Brom players what I did today." He literally said that after the game.
Now, see, this is but this is actually a thing, though. So this is where I think Sam Allardyce gets a bad rap. Like, like when he coached Bolton was actually I don't my Premier League history doesn't go back that far, so I'm not going to speak from firsthand experience. From what I've heard, though, like, he was one of the first guys that was actually trying to bring in some type of analytics to the game, some actual real scouting of his opponents, and it was pretty, like, trendy for his time. Like, but since then he's coached, right, like, West Ham, Sunderland, Palace, and then Everton. So it's like, yeah, you're not going to play the most beautiful style of soccer when you're having those types of budgets and those types of teams. So anyway, I think sometimes he gets a bad rap, but I just love him for being a troll and that he's going to be the talking point till the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully he keeps West Brom up. Like, I like West Brom.
Yeah, as consumer of all things Premier League related, it's great to have a personality like that in the league. Same with Jose.
Yep. Just more fun.
Yeah.
My boo goes out to the MLS. Now, this is just a few hours old. That MLS and then the statement comes out from the MLS Players Association that the Players Association was made aware that the league and the owners are invoking a clause that will start the process for them to abandon the existing collective bargaining agreement, which was very fought after, 2 years ago now, or maybe it was beginning of, I think it was 2 years ago, where they had to strike their new collective bargaining agreement with the Players Association and the league. Obviously, the owners and the league are saying that they are going to opt out of this. I'm assuming because of all the COVID stuff and their loss of money that they've had. But, like, the statement, exactly. The statement says that they didn't reach out to the players union beforehand, before this is happening. They're not trying to strike a deal. They're just going to try to get out of their collective bargaining agreement. So again, another reason of why I'll never, why I'm not a fan of that league. I just think they do things very poorly. What's that? So anyway, just some shitty news coming out. Stand with the players who, risked a lot this year to be able to make the season happen. Did not get to spend a lot of family time because of strict quarantine rules that they had to do for this year. So definitely gotta stick with the players on this one.
Yeah, good stuff, Jack. Always, your boos are always good. It's always the news that we don't want to hear, but we need to hear. It's important stuff. My cheers for the week. I despise myself for doing it, but I think my cheers goes to Mikel Arteta, Granit Xhaka, and Arsenal for answering the call and stepping up to the challenge. And we shit on them last week, and we're praising them this week. So good for them. That's what it's all about: bouncing back, getting 2 wins in a row with a win today. Giving the young guys a chance. I say Granit Xhaka. I hate to give him the cheers, but props to the young guys for playing well and being fearless and helping them turn it around. Who knows what's next for them, but it's been fun shitting on them. But we got to give them props when they deserve it. I actually didn't have a boo, so I'm gonna give my boo to Toby for making it about an hour and 10 minutes in and not mentioning Timu Puki yet. So fuck you, Toby.
Dude, he didn't play in the last game, and there's nothing going on. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook with him. So,
Dude, he's at home with his baby, with his newborn.
Yeah, they got they lost, or no, they tied Watford, I think, over the weekend, and then they just played again yesterday or today, and they tied again. So, because I think right now I want to say they're 5 or 6 points up in the championship, so they're going to be probably back in the Premier League next year. So that's what for Christmas I'm going to get you guys all the Timu Puki best striker shirts from Norwich that they sell. So shipping was $40 for a $20 T-shirt. So whoa.
All right, we'll move on to belters of the week. My belter was I'm going to go with Anwar El Ghazi. First time, ball was laid off pretty nicely to him. First time, he was inside the box. Not a super long distance effort, but inside the box. Probably 17, 18 yards out, though, at an angle. Hit it with his right foot, so the ball was bending outward, and he caught the inside of the post. Just an absolute rocket. Toby,
So
what you got?
I have 2 of them technically. The first one was in that United Leicester game. Harvey Barnes is on a tear right now. He actually scored again against Palace as well. But he had a smoke of a shot on the left side, and it was a belter from outside the 18. It was clean, crisp, very nice. So the other one, there's I thought I wouldn't have any of them, and then I was like rewatching some of my recordings for like an hour today on my box, and the other one I really liked
2017.
What?
One of them's from 2017.
no, this is from yesterday, and it was a volley by Wilfried Zaha of Crystal Palace, and this kick was from across the 18, switched in from the right side to the left side of the box, and Zaha one-timed it, and it was just like getting a hold of it, like it was a perfect clean hit. I mean, he was outside the 6, but it was a bullet of a shot. It was awesome. And so that was them on the counter, and it was like perfectly set up. So it was a beauty. What about you, Jack?
This is more just coming from a personal perspective of Sigurdsson's goal in the 80th minute against Sheffield. Like, it wasn't an absolute belter. It was a nice goal, but it was a needed goal. This is just strictly coming from me being an Everton fan. Like, 80th minute against a team that we needed to win against. He was in the right place at the right time with good technique and got us 3 points. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. May not have been the belter of the week, but yeah, a huge goal.
And to put a second,
did well,
I think are we still in second? No, I think we got lapped today, but
yeah, I think after today, I think you guys are in fourth. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, huge goal, and like you said, had a split second to take a touch and then put it in the only spot that he could put it to score it. So, and at his old age to do that, to be thinking and moving that quickly is pretty incredible. So, but yeah, I think that wraps it up, boys. Another good week. Things have been a little crazy right now, but like we said, we're working on a website, trying to get everything on YouTube, and trying to keep sitting down and catch as many games as possible. Thanks for tuning in. Brendan, can you cue us out to something juicy?
what is juicy to Brendan? That's
Hit it.
Exactly what I wanted.
Norwich was tied 1-1 to QPR, by the way. That's the score today.
What did they do?
Guess who got that 75th minute PK?